All right. Happy Super Bowl hangover day. That is our Monday. February 10th, Philadelphia Eagles, 40. Kansas City Chiefs, 22. Oh, my gosh. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I'm going to tell you a funny little story from the wreckage of my gambling past. I think the year was 1987. And I used to go up to Vegas all the time with a guy I used to call Evil Rich. Back then, he was my best friend. You know, we could tell how that relationship panned out, right? And it was Saturday, and he called me, and I was up in Vegas, and he goes, hey, man, I don't want to go. I don't want to lose money. I go, man, Denver's playing Washington tomorrow. It's going to be a cakewalk. Denver is going to smash them. And he said, I don't know. And I said, but actually the game we liked the Celtics. We liked the Celtics that night at Utah. It was Atlanta. Sorry, it was Atlanta, Dominique Wilkins. And so he came up there, and we both bet really heavy on Atlanta to win in Utah. And they got slaughtered. You know, they choked at the end. I mean, we didn't really realize how good Utah was with Malone and Stockton. And we went out, you know, you lose on a Saturday night, and you're like, fudge the world. So I had been telling him all week, man, Denver's the play. And I believe Denver was like a 3-point favorite. I could be off a little. And so the next morning comes, and I got like a couple $100. And I decide they had 2 college games, 2 apart. So I rolled the money on the one game. I won. And then I rolled the money on the next game. And it was like Rhode Island. And they won and covered at home. And it was so scary because the game, they were shooting free throws at the end, and I didn't know if I'd be able to get in for my bet for the Super Bowl, right? And I had told Evil Rich, man, we got to bet Denver. And as I got my money and I was looking at the board, something came over me and said, take Washington. So that was just at the beginning of when they had alternate point spreads. That was about it. There was really no props. And so instead of getting the 3, I laid 3.5 with Washington, and I got like plus 170. And I put all the money on there. So we're watching the game, and if you remember it, Denver started out 10-0. Just ass whooping. And I'm sitting there with Rich, and he's happy, and he's jumping up and down. And I'm like, what did I do? I've got to be the biggest retard in the world. I'm trying to be cool. And he's like, why aren't you happy? And I go, because I effed up, and I bet on Washington. And he goes, you son of a bitch. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I am a son of a bitch. I deserve to lose. And then we all know what happened. Washington scored like 45 points in the second quarter. And I think Doug Williams just threw another touchdown. And, oh, man, I was such a shyster. I was such a dick. And I felt bad, you know. Room's on me. Yeah, little solace at the time. So I got a history with these things. Philadelphia just crushed them. And Mahomes didn't look like Mahomes. But one of the things I really hate in the sports world is how they go, well, they just had an off game. Well, a big reason they have the off game is because of the other team. It's not, they weren't playing a high school team. They were playing Philadelphia. And for somehow Philadelphia, their front four, they didn't need to blitz. They got there. They got to Mahomes. They made him uncomfortable, And when you put 7 back, with Vic Fangio, hey, I'm a Dolphins fan. Good thing we let that guy go. That's what's going to happen. Final stats, Mahomes 21 of 32. I told you to take the under on his completions and attempts yesterday. Both of those hit the winners. 3 touchdowns. 2 of them were in garbage time. 2 interceptions. The 1 interception to DeJean broke the game open pretty much, I thought, when he returned it for a touchdown. Hurts 17 of 22. 221, 2 touchdowns, an interception. He really did a lot of damage with his legs. I never saw the prop, but if there would have been a prop, is Hurts going to get more yardage than Barkley? That would have been plus 500. It hit. He had 72 yards on 11 carries. Barkley, 25 carries, 57 yards. Kansas City, if I would have told you before the game, Barkley's only going to get 57 yards, I think everybody would have bet Kansas City. I did, I lost, I'll admit it. I just thought Mahomes and Reed were better than Sirianni and Hurts. Obviously, the rest of the team, it's really eerily similar to when they played Tampa Bay. The rest of the team was better. Mahomes was probably as good, if not better, than Brady, but the rest of the team, especially because they had injuries to the offensive line, which showed up again tonight, it hurt Mahomes. Worthy, 8 receptions, $157, 2 touchdowns for Kansas City, but he had that long strike at the end when the game was out. It's kind of a thing, but it's not really. Deontay Smith, 4 for 69. If you look at the Eagles receiving yards, it's pretty amazing. I thought that was a BS call in the beginning when they went for it on 4th down and he threw it to him and they called offensive pass interference and they had to punt. I thought there was 2 calls in the beginning that each went the wrong way, and I'm not going to say it really affected the game because at the end of the day, Philadelphia was just superior. Devontae Smith, 4 catches for 69. A.J. Brown, 3 for 43. Jaha Dotson, 2 for 42. Barkley, 6 for 40. That's kind of surprising. Goddard, 2 for 27. Hurts had a total of 221, and you know what? It was just a balanced offense. Their offensive line was just better. There really was no pressure on Hurts. The one time they got to him that I remember, they were offsides. Just a real killer. On the Kansas City side, we already went through Worthy. Kelsey, 4 for 39. Kansas City had 2 fumbles, 1 loss. Kansas City threw 2 picks. They got 1 back, but by then the game was over. Let's go over some of the props so we can lick our wounds. The game ended, Philadelphia -1. I'm glad the bettors won, honestly. If I'm not going to win, I hope the bettors win. I like to see the casinos go down. I'm not this guy about, casinos took a bath. That's BS. I hope they took a big bath on it. I told you a couple winners yesterday. I said that there's going to be a 2-point attempt. That was plus 120. It hit. Successful 2-point conversion, even though you had to sweat it till the end of the 4th quarter. Plus 240. Yep. I had the safety. That was a no. I had over 1.5 converted 4th downs. No. Like I said, Mahomes on the pass attempts and the completions, unders. It's funny in the Super Bowl how some stuff comes back to bite you. I'm looking at some of these alternate point spreads, and the Eagles minus 21.5 were plus 1,200. The Eagles minus 17.5 were 900. Can you imagine the guy who had a minus 21.5, and then Kansas City got that late BS score with Worthy down the field, Sorry. Man, what a brutal game. What a brutal game. But if you look at them, Eagles minus 14.5 was 7-1. Eagles minus 10.5 was plus 450. Eagles minus 7.5 was plus 325. That's at the Superbook. It was a pretty incredible thing. Will there be a lead change in the 4th quarter? Yes, plus 235. That didn't get there. No missed extra point. That won't get there. Will there be field goals by both teams? Nope. That's amazing. Kansas City didn't get one. They really don't tell you in the sports books how the props all end out. They sit there and cry, and they just keep making tens of millions of dollars. I think there's going to be a day soon, and this is really outlandish because there's so much competition that the sports book makes more than the table games. I did see that Vegas was down, I think, 5% in the 4th quarter of 2024 on the table games. They really don't delineate the difference between the sports book and the table games, but I've heard a couple whispers that the sports book is is really where they're all gravitating towards. And I'm going to tell you also something here I see coming. You're going to see more props on individual games. I know the bookmakers don't like props because they can get really, quote unquote, hurt. But I think there's going to be a day where we see a Super Bowl packet. Look at this. Well, that wasn't very good. I mean, there's 50 pages here, both sides. I think we're going to see that in the NFC Championship game, in the AFC Championship game. You know, I know it takes them 4 or 5 days, but, you know, they're just trying to find new ways of revenue. I hope the books lost, but we will see. Now we got to go through 6 months. You know, it's funny. They were doing the USFLs coming, or UFL. Oh, my God. Good luck. Good luck. You know, I am surprised, and I don't understand this. There's a lot of, you know, I mean, we live in a time of billionaires. I am surprised 4 or 5 billionaires don't get together and literally say, okay, we're going to put $500 million each into a new football league, and we don't care about the ratings for 5 or 6 years. You know, kind of like SMU did. They wanted to get into a big conference. They didn't want to be like Ronin and wander the land. So they said, yeah, we don't need any revenue. We don't need any television revenue for you for, I think, 9 years, 7 years, 9 years, whatever it was. That's the way, if I was a billionaire and I could get together with 4 or 5 of my buddies, go, you know what, each of us put $500 million in, and let's go in the fall. Because there's no competition. Football has decimated everything, but football is susceptible to another football league. It is. And you know what you do? You don't run it on Sundays. You run it on Tuesday and Wednesdays. You run it on Fridays. You don't have that agreement with Congress that you can't run football on Fridays and Saturdays. Go ahead. I wouldn't go against college football, but let me tell you, from Tuesday all the way to Friday, you're good. And let me tell you that Thursday night football don't scare the hell out of me because they put crappy games on there, you know? All right. If you could, please be kind enough to hit the like and subscribe button. Leave some comments. I love to hear them, and I will put them on the air. All right. I hope you won at the Super Bowl, and I will talk to you tomorrow.